folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Hey, are you ready to own nothing and just be happy? You're going to love it. You're going to love it. You don't own anything. You don't have any financial securities. You don't have any of the freedoms that you once thought you had. But guess what? You're going to love it because we're going to be taking care of you. You're going to get taken care of. You don't have any worries left in your life. That's what they want. And while we have talked about this in the past, and I'm sure most of you have heard of things like the Great Reset and Agenda 2030, it kind of seems like here lately that those things have kind of died away when it comes to being popularly talked about. But I'm here to tell you that they certainly haven't forgotten about them. Their agendas haven't changed. We're just not hearing about them because guess what? They're being played out right before us. That's right. Most everything that's been going on for the last months and years, it's all part of their plan. And I wanted to talk to you about that, kind of give you an update on it. Before I get started, a couple of things. We have a meeting coming up, local meeting, coming up real soon, November the 7th. We try to have these every 4 to 6 weeks. If you live kind of in the central Missouri Ozarks or so and you'd like to attend, shoot me an email. It's a pretty big event. 200 to 300 people every month come to these, and we're already working on breaking down into smaller groups. It's already happened. There's already smaller groups forming. It's a family-friendly event. If you're interested in some of the details, go ahead and shoot me an email, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. But remember, I get a lot of emails, so I don't always get to respond right away. Also, next week, and this is more on a smaller level, and so I want to be cautious about mentioning this because I don't want it to be overwhelming. For those of you that are really in the local area, and this is being held in Texas County, Missouri, we're doing a local men's Bible study next Thursday morning at a local restaurant. And why I want to say that it's not, I don't want to turn people away, but there's not a whole lot of seating. We're only talking about enough seating for maybe 25 people. There's a little private breakfast room at a little local diner. And so if you're serious about being interested in that, let me know. But we're kind of filling up quick, so there's not a lot of space for that one because only about 25 seats available. Anyways, and that's next Thursday morning at around 9 a.m. So for those of you that aren't working or something and could attend to that, this whole Great Reset stuff, it's serious. It's real. It cracks me up because the mainstream media, they laugh about it and they say, oh, it's all a conspiracy theory. And amazingly, so many people believe that. They believe that it's a conspiracy theory, that they want to own everything and you own nothing, that they want to do away with private ownership, with basically capitalism. They want to do away with individual freedom. They want to establish a global governance so that there isn't individual nations off doing their own thing. And the reason why we all say that is because that's what they say. They've been saying this for a while, and most people just kind of blow it off as, well, it's not really happening. One of the things that has happened since the beginning of all of this crazy health crisis is that we have been watching right before our eyes the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. We're watching individuals become mega billionaires. We're watching companies just grow and grow in the size and the scope of their control. And we're seeing the smaller businesses, the small mom and pop businesses that at one time was where the real wealth and where the real commerce existed in this nation. Even though has always been big companies, the vast majority of employees, the vast majority of the wealth in this nation actually existed in the small little mom and pop businesses all across the country, and that's changing also. We're watching the middle class no longer be the middle class, to where now the top 1-2% of the nation actually controls and holds a greater amount of wealth than the middle class, which is something that's never happened before. All this stuff that's going on when it comes to mandates and requirements and passports and backed up shipping and more spending and inflation and potential hyperinflation and going deeper into debt and less jobs or less people working at jobs and less places to live and people not owning the homes that they once did. It's all part of a plan, folks. This stuff has been planned out for years, and even in the last few years, there was much more planning going on. And the thing is it's not a big secret. I'm going to refer you to a video. One of my Patreon members sent me this video, and I watched it. It's an hour-long documentary here on YouTube. And the guy says he's working on doing some more, so I'll be interested to see when some of the other stuff comes out, because it's really good quality. It explains it. Most of the stuff in the video I already knew, but I did learn a few new things. But it definitely puts it in a format that it's very easy to understand for the beginner, and yet there's so much information in there. So for even those of you that are more advanced and have been on to this for a long time, you're probably going to pick up a few things. So I'll leave a link in the description below for that, because honestly I can't think of the name of the video right now. Anyways, because I can't cover nearly all the stuff that this guy covers in one of my videos, because they're short videos. The point is that there is much more going on than what you see on the surface. And this is something that we've been talking about for weeks and months on this channel. This isn't just one little singular event that you need to get prepared for. This isn't just, something that just happens to happen. I mean, there are those events. I mean, it appears that this morning there was an X-class CME or an X-class solar flare that erupted from the sun, and I think they're saying an X1. Not enough to probably knock us back to the Bronze Age or anything, but certainly enough that it could cause some geomagnetic storms here in the next few days. So expect to probably see earthquake and volcanic activity tick up. Could have some communication problems. Those are events that possibly are completely on their own. They're kind of that black swan event that's not really planned for. They just happen. The vast majority of the stuff that we're seeing happen, it's very planned. It's very orchestrated. If you don't realize that, or you're not aware of that, why don't you get in your Google search engine or whatever search engine you use and type in Event 201. Look that up. Johns Hopkins University is the website, and you can find that the World Economic Forum, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and several government entities and other organizations were involved in what they call the Event 201, which happened just a few months before this whole health crisis problem even was known to exist, to where they sat down in a big round table kind of discussion, and they planned out what would happen if a coronavirus pandemic happened all across the world, and what would ensue of the shutdowns and if you read, this is official documentation, basically what's happened since then is almost exactly what they did in this kind of training operation that they did called Event 201. That's just one thing, folks. That's just one thing that I can point to. There's a lot more. I've shown this video on this channel a few times, but I'm going to do it again for those of you. You'll own nothing and be happy. I'm going to play it right here as I'm speaking. This is a video that the World Economic Forum put out a few years ago, and this is the one that everyone keeps referencing now. Since this video, and really before this video, they have made hundreds and hundreds of these videos. You can go to their YouTube channel, the World Economic Forum YouTube channel, and they have hundreds of videos. Some of them are videos like this, where they're kind of this little infomercial thing. A lot of these videos on their channel are roundtable discussions, like a TED Talk. There's, speeches. There's all kinds of stuff on there of how they want to reimagine the world, change it. They want to reset the world. It's been run by Klaus Schwab. He's one of the elites. This guy used to be deeply, and still is, I'm sure, deeply involved in the Bilderberg Group. And he has deep connections with the royal crown in the United Kingdom. And he's set on the heads of boards of the United Nations. This guy is an elite, all right? He's one of the big ones. And he's the one leading this charge. This video that they put out, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Well, that stuff's already playing out. In the video it talks about how the United States will no longer be the global superpower. We're already seeing this. Here's an article right here. We're seeing that and America is not looked upon anymore as really the global superpower that the whole world shudders, when we make a decision. It's not happening anymore. And the current president is helping that right along with just completely losing, the world losing faith in who we are as a nation. This own nothing and you'll be happy. I mean, that's happening right before our eyes. We're seeing countless people lose their homes, lose their jobs. We're watching companies like BlackRock and Vanguard, which are like the most elite. They're at the top of the pyramid, I guess to speak of the elite companies on this planet. And they own everything. They really do. They're buying up property all over. I am hearing almost all the time stories from people that, BlackRock's been buying up every house in our neighborhood, all these houses for sale. I was talking to a friend today. Same thing. Telling me stories about how they heard that, BlackRock, they're just buying it up. And, Vanguard's owns BlackRock, and these are the two big companies. Here's an article from Bloomberg, I believe, that right now the complete total assets of BlackRock and Vanguard total over $20 trillion. And they expect that within the next 8 to 10 years, look at this, that they could own everything. That they could literally own everything. There's actually becoming some companies, some governments are worrying because their whole the global control and influence of these two companies is so vast that they're actually controlling nations. They're controlling the governments. This is not something that's really new. It has been going on for a while, and many of you are aware of it, but some of you haven't quite caught on yet. This is a lot bigger than a Republican or Democrat problem. You see on the news that some Republican is wanting to do this and some Democrat is wanting to do this. These people are all being controlled, folks. And the more you get into this, and again, I know I'm scratching the surface right now, the more you find out what is really going on. If you start digging around, there's articles more and more. I mean, BlackRock and Vanguard are so big, like they're the ones loaning money to places like the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve Bank, yes, the one that's the evil Federal Reserve Bank here in the United States. And BlackRock is giving loans to them, right? I mean, they've got enough money that they're loaning money to governments all over the world. They own virtually everything. They own controlling shares in nearly every major corporation on the planet, people. So this thing of you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, it's already happening. It's already happening. America's not going to be a big nation, the global superpower anymore. It's already happening. In that video it said you're not going to eat as much meat anymore. Well, guess what? Meat's hard to find anymore. I mean, it's hard to find because it's expensive. You go to the grocery stores and you don't see so much of it. If you hear from the ranchers, they're saying, dude, we got tons of meat. We got cows and beef running all over the place. Why is it so hard to actually get it in the store, and why is it so expensive? It's all being orchestrated. Beef is just horrible on the environment, they say. I mean, we're all going to die in just a few years because of a bunch of cows farting out in the field. So we got to end that, and then everyone's going to eat bugs. There's lots of videos that the World Economic Forum has put out on just that you're no longer going to be eating meat. You're going to be eating bugs, and you're going to love it, folks. There's a lot more going on than you might think. This wealth transfer. In the video, it talks about how There's going to be, lots of refugees, and we're going to have to take those in. Well, guess what? That's been happening too. Over 2 million people have illegally crossed the border in the United States just this year alone. And there's videos you can watch online where there's tens of thousands of these refugees in a big caravan that's headed to the United States border as we speak. And just today, it's being talked about in the Biden administration to hand over almost $500,000 check to all these illegals that's crossed the border illegally, and that their families have been separated. Yes, all those separated families that's crossed the illegal border illegally. Well, guess what? We're just going to write out a check for almost $500,000 to them. That's right, because that's going to take care of every problem. And then, of course, they're going to come into the flood into the nation and just take over in many other ways and drain us in ways that we've never seen before, because most of these people aren't coming here because they really want a good job. They come here because they want something free, and they're being told that. I reported a couple of weeks ago that the United Nations has been on the Mexican border, the U.S.-Mexican border, on the Mexican side since at least February, helping process all of these refugees, all of these illegal border crossings on the Mexican side. So these people aren't just randomly crossing the border and getting under the fence or over the fence or swimming across the river or whatever. These people are being processed by the United Nations. They're giving them paperwork. They're telling them what to say, what to do. They're setting them up with attorneys here in the United States and assisting them in getting across the border illegally into the United States. Folks, this is an orchestrated effort. This is an orchestrated effort to bring down not just this nation, but the entire civilization, the Western civilization as a whole. Because this whole Agenda 2030 plan right here, and the whole World Economic Forum's Great Reset plan, which really they're one and the same plan. If you look at them, they're almost identical. These plans are only going to work if they can bring so many of these nations down to their knees, to bring them under one umbrella of global governance. I know I'm going pretty deep in some of this, but honestly, I'm only scratching the surface. And I'm telling you all this because this is a real reason why we need to prepare. This isn't just one little single event of making you all get this. This isn't one single event that, the shipping is kind of backed up, and eventually once they get those ships moved around to different ports or get some more truckers in there, it's all going to be taken care of and we'll be back to normal in a few months. This isn't something like that, folks. This is bigger. And all the stuff that we're seeing play out before our eyes right now, the stuff that's been playing out for the last several months and even the last few years, it's all part of these global plans. And when you have companies like Vanguard and BlackRock and State Street that really control so much of this planet, to the point that they might actually have enough capital assets to own most of everything within the next decade. And those aren't my words, that's mainstream, media, Bloomberg's words. Then these people do have enough to control everything, and they are in positions to orchestrate and cause all these different events happen. And it's being done in their favor, I assure you. They're not doing this just because they like to play around. They're doing this because it helps their agenda. And in the end, they are going to own everything. They are going to control everything. And you're going to be happy. You're going to be happy because they tell you to be happy. Well, let me tell you, if you want to really be happy, you need to get out of these cities. You need to secede from this civilization and culture. Find different ways that aren't within the norm to run your life and to have your family around you. Get out to the country if you're able to. Find communities like the ones that are popping up all around here in the Ozarks and in other places in the United States. Become more self-sufficient. Do your best to raise your own food, to grow it, to raise it, to process it, to preserve it. Stock up on what you need to do. Learn the skills that you need to allow yourself some independence from this system. Because that's what's been going on for decades now, is we've watched our civilization, our culture, America build itself in a way to where everyone is so highly dependent upon this system around us, to where we're no longer an independent people. We once were, but we no longer are. So that is what I'm telling you should do. Preparedness isn't just stocking up a bunch of stuff in your closet. I mean, that's a good thing to do. Preparedness is pushing yourself to a goal of true independence, true self-sufficiency from the system around you, because that system is closing in on you, folks. That system will soon become your prison. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.